Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. I'm Sally Burdett, live from Johannesburg. Your top stories this evening. Is it your constitutional right to smack your child? The highest court grapples with the line between physical discipline and child abuse. Colin Rex, who abused and molested boys at a Johannesburg school, is sentenced to 23 years in jail. The harsh punishment a victory against child sexual abuse and vindication for the brave boys who spoke out.
He raised a nation, and our world, and South Africa in particular, is the better for it.
And Oprah Winfrey pays tribute to Nelson Mandela ahead of the Global Citizen Concert on Sunday. But our top story this evening, is it right to smack your child? It's a question the Constitutional Court is now grappling with. Now, according to a Snap poll on Twitter today, 85% of parents who responded say it is okay to smack your child. But what will the highest court in the land decide? Freedom of Religion SA, who's brought the case, believes parents have the right to choose their child's form of discipline, even if it includes spanking. Now, they're fighting a High Court judgment which found a father guilty of assault after he beat his 13-year-old son. As Yankatome reports, the group believes there's a big difference between assault and reasonable chastisement of a child.
Freedom of Religion South Africa argues they're completely against the abuse of children, but it says it does support the rights of parents to decide what is best for their children.
A 13-year-old, a young, slight 13-year-old, who responds well to a slap on the buttocks when he needs chastisement, that would not be unreasonable, immoderate. But a strapping 13-year-old who's entering the stage of puberty and somewhat rebellious, well, that would be unreasonable, but that's only going to be the start of something that's going to get worse.
It became apparent in court that reasonable chastisement is a grey area, which many say leaves children vulnerable. Those against it say the aim is not to charge parents with a crime, but rather to guide them in finding a way to positively discipline their children.
We would submit that there isn't a compelling reason why the other rights of religion, cultural practice and so forth should trump the rights of children here.
4SA says Parliament should deal with the matter instead of the High Court just abolishing the law of defence. Yankatome, Johannesburg.
A landmark sentence which will hopefully send a clear warning to those who sexually abuse children. Today, Colin Rex, the former water polo assistant at Parktown Boys High, was sentenced to 23 years in prison. He's guilty of sexually abusing a number of boys at the school. Rex was handed 20 years for sexual assault and a further 3 years for common assault in the High Court sitting in Palm Ridge. MEC Panyaza Lissufi says the sentence should serve as a deterrent to all those who sexually assault learners.
I mean, it's mixed emotions, relieved that we've come to an end of this long, torturous and emotional roller coaster exercise, that finally we can see the back of this teacher. And finally, we can congratulate our learners for really demonstrating their capability and the level of braveness that ensured that we've got a conviction. But also to thank their parents. I mean, these parents stood from day one. They stood behind their children. They provided all the relevant support that was needed.
Explosive testimony today from ANC veteran and former SAA board chair Cheryl Carolus. She's accusing former Minister Malusi Gigaba of lying. Gigaba wrote a letter in August 2012 confirming SAA's financial statements were complete. But a month later, he wrote to the Speaker of Parliament claiming they were incomplete. Soon after this, several SAA board members resigned. Carolus claims a more pliable board, led by Dudu Myeni, followed. Here's Erin Bates.
If so, please state, I truly affirm.
I truly affirm.
Thank you.
Former SAA Chair Cheryl Carolus has implicated former Public Enterprises Minister Malusi Gigaba.
He was lying to the minister, to the Speaker of the House. He has been quite central to a lot of wrongdoing in many of the state-owned enterprises.
Carolus reports Gigaba was obsessed with SAA's route to Mumbai.
So within weeks of arrival, he makes this a priority. He calls for a meeting with myself and the CEO.
And gave private Indian company Jet Airways direct access to SAA senior management.
The minister hardly made any contribution to the discussion.
No, he made no contribution to the discussion. He just allowed the president of Jet Airways to effectively lead the meeting.
Now you have people outside of government, actually from another country, coming and effectively saying, you people must terminate this route. You must stop being involved in this route. In effect, is that right?
No, that is indeed correct, sir.
Isn't that very strange?
Carolus says SAA resisted pressure to advertise with the new age. Hearings provisionally resume next week, Tuesday. Erin Bates, Johannesburg.
Eskom has had to implement stage 1 load shedding today. The power utility says consumers should check their planned power cut schedules on municipal or Eskom websites. Now, Eskom says it's expected to end the load shedding at 10 o'clock this evening.
The plan is to restore them as soon as possible, especially the ones which are on planned maintenance, because those ones you know what the problems are, and therefore you can fix them, or at least maybe possibly even defer the maintenance on those ones. The difficulty is on the majority of the ones which are unplanned, those ones, and that's where the challenge is. We have over 9,000 of those ones which are unplanned, meaning they just broke down, and therefore it becomes quite a difficult challenge for you to determine as to when exactly they will be brought back on service, which is why we cannot at this stage say for sure as to when they will be brought back online. But our technicians and engineers are working on them to make sure that we bring them back online, if not before 10 o'clock, at least earlier than that.
Media mogul and philanthropist Oprah Winfrey is in South Africa ahead of Sunday's Global Citizen Concert at FNB Stadium in Soweto. Winfrey today spoke at a women's event at the University of Johannesburg's Soweto campus, where she was joined by former First Lady Graça Machel. The chairman and board of trustees of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, in collaboration with the Graça Machel Trust, hosted the Isithunzi Sabafazi event to mark 5 years since Madiba's passing and to recognise the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence campaign. Michelle thanked Oprah Winfrey for celebrating with South Africa. Winfrey in turn paid a glowing tribute to Madiba.
He filled himself with gratitude for the lessons that he learned and for the friendships that he forged, even in prison. He was a man, because of those 27 years, was not allowed to raise his children, but instead he raised a nation. And our world, and South Africa in particular, is the better for it.
Why I thought the best of gifts, which we, the Nelson Mandela Foundation, the Graça Machel Trust, the Kuhluka movement, the best of gift we can offer to South Africa, but to the whole movement of celebrations of 100 years of Madiba, it was exactly to bring Oprah to be at the centrality of these celebrations.
Some good news for residents in the city of Cape Town. From the 1st of December, water restrictions will once again be lowered. Cape Town Mayor Dan Plato made the announcement today following meetings with the National Water and Sanitation Department and Western Cape water users. Restrictions will move from level 5 to level 3. Now, this means each resident can use 105 litres a day. That's 35 litres more than currently. Watering gardens with municipal drinking water using a bucket or watering can is only allowed on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays before 9 a.m. or after 6 p.m. Coupled with the increase in water allocation per person per day, residents will also be paying less for water per kilolitre. But despite these welcome changes, the city has urged residents to continue using water sparingly. Ahead of World AIDS Day on Saturday, the UN children's rights advocacy group UNICEF says while South Africa is doing well in dealing with the disease, the big challenge is educating younger people about HIV/AIDS. UNICEF has released its global HIV/AIDS figures for children and adolescents. It's estimated that around 360,000 adolescents are expected to die of AIDS by 2030 if investment in HIV prevention is not ramped up. They've warned progress is notably slower among adolescents, defined by the UN as those between ages 10 and 19. 56,000 of them will die as a result of AIDS-related causes. That's 80 every day. The report blames slow progress in preventing HIV among young children, along with a failure to address structural and behavioural drivers of the epidemic. Still ahead on eNews, thousands of Argentinians take to the streets of Buenos Aires as the city prepares for the Group 20 summit. And of course, all your money news with Matteo.
There was a lot of marginal trade on the market today, very cautious from the US news that came through, but the Rand benefiting from all of that.
Time for all your money news now with Matteo. We're talking fuel price this evening. First of all, are we getting a decrease next month?
According to the Central Energy Fund, unaudited numbers, we should be getting quite a great decrease in terms of the fuel price this time around. And that's because the fuel price, of course, the Brent crude price internationally has been quite low at about $60 a barrel, and the Rand has been strong. So it's expected that it will be R1.85 for petrol, and also some great decreases for diesel and paraffin as well.
Every little bit helps. Talk to us about this examination of the structure of our petrol price. Of course, we all know about the fuel levy, but this is not about the fuel levy, I understand. This is about the actual core price of fuel. Is there much room for manoeuvre there?
Not much. It's actually funny, the proposal that government is putting forward, because in April, before they hiked both the levies, I mean, they were both at 22 cents and about 30 cents. So that made the petrol price quite manageable. But they hiked them, of course, to R3.37 for the general levy, and for the road accident fund to R1.93, which made it very expensive. But what they're trying to shave off here is the storage in terms of the Brent crude price, as well as the freight rate that comes with the Brent crude price, by marking it against Singapore, which doesn't come with those two charges. It is going to shave a bit with the proposal they've made, but not as much as the road accident fund levy and the general levy that we have, that is quite high as well, that came in April. So the real cut should be coming from the government taxes themselves, but government says they won't touch those at all.
Well, let's have a look at the markets.
Well, the markets were quite marginal today after the central bank in the US said it would stop hiking rates. The dollar was down, and the all share was also down today. Industrials also suffering a bit of losses today, despite Naspers going up 1%. Financials, though, were strong 1% at the back of a stronger rand. Mining shares were strong for a change today. Gold up 1.5%. Platinum was also strong today, with resources closing off the positive trade. Well, the price of gold is at $1,225 an ounce, and platinum was down more than 0.5%, with Brent crude keeping low at $60.13 a barrel. The rand taking advantage of a weaker dollar today at R13.68 against the greenback, at 15.56 against the euro, and also firm against the pound at R17.48.
Another good day for the rand.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Expecting lower prices tomorrow.
Yay, let's keep it that way. Thank you very much, Matteo Garipe. Well, let's take a quick look at stories making international headlines now. Prosecutors have raided Germany's largest financial institution over money laundering allegations. Now, the prosecutor's office says investigators are looking into 2 Deutsche Bank staff members. They're alleged to have helped clients set up offshore accounts to launder money. Written and electronic documents have been seized from the bank. The investigation was triggered after investigators reviewed the so-called offshore leaks and Panama Papers. The bank denies having knowingly kept additional information on the Panama Papers from authorities. And in Argentina, thousands of citizens took to the streets of Buenos Aires as the city prepares for the Group of 20 summit. The demonstrators are accusing G20 leaders of wanting to take advantage of the region. Argentinians are struggling with economic recession and inflation. Government has introduced tough austerity measures as it seeks to lower the fiscal debt. This year, leaders of the world's top 20 industrialized countries will discuss issues such as trade and climate change. Still ahead, we'll go to Joel at our weather centre there in Cape Town. Hi there, Joel. And then...
Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home?
FNB Stadium turns into Paradise City. Guns N' Roses begin their South African tour. Let's get your weather news with Joel Guy in Cape Town. Evening, Joel. Have I got a sunny or a rainy weekend ahead?
Well, it's going to be mostly dry for Gauteng, but we are expecting some thunder showers starting from Friday. In the meantime, here's how Friday is going to start off. We will be seeing quite a lot of cloud and drizzly conditions over the Mpumalanga and Limpopo escarpment areas, and the clouds could also push further west into Gauteng. It will be mostly fine on Friday morning for the rest of the country, but later on in the afternoon, we are going to see thunder showers extending from the Northern Cape down into the Eastern Cape and also eastwards into KwaZulu-Natal. Then in the evening, the thunder showers should spread into the Free State and parts of the Northwest and persist over the Eastern Cape and parts of KwaZulu-Natal. We are also going to see quite a bit of fog creeping onto the West Coast as we go into Friday night. Now, we are expecting isolated thunder showers on Friday afternoon over the eastern areas of the Northern Cape, and it's going to be sizzling hot for Uppington with partly cloudy skies warming to around 39 degrees in the afternoon. Mostly sunny and hot weather is forecast for the interior of the Western Cape. It will be pretty warm for Cape Town, peaking at around 29 degrees. Partly cloudy skies are forecast for the eastern parts of the province. We are going to see isolated thunderstorms for much of the Eastern Cape with hot temperatures forecast for much of the interior. It will also be hot for much of KwaZulu-Natal with isolated thunderstorms in places including around Durban, where a high of 26 is expected. A dry one is forecast for the Mpumalanga province, where it's going to be warm to hot for your Friday afternoon. We are expecting mostly dry weather as well for the Limpopo province, just a bit of drizzle around Tsenin. In the northwest, there will be a small chance of thunderstorms for the western areas, and top temperatures here will stay in the upper 30s. We are expecting isolated thunderstorms across much of the Free State. Gauteng, on the other hand, will be partly cloudy and dry with warm to hot afternoon temperatures. Now, just looking ahead to your Saturday, we are going to see thunderstorms over the eastern areas. It will be mostly sunny for the western interior, just a bit of rain for Cape Town and Vredendal. That's all from the Weather Centre for now. Back to you, Sally.
Thank you very much, Joel Guy. And finally, American rock band Guns N' Roses is performing on South African soil for the very first time tonight. The show forms part of the band's Not in This Lifetime tour, which is the fourth highest grossing tour of all time. Warner Boom will be the supporting act at the iconic band's show in Johannesburg. Michael Murillo caught up with some of the fans attending tonight's concert.
Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Take me home.
Just tell me, I mean, it's not every day you see a mom and a whole family of kids into the same band. Just tell me how this came about.
I fell in love with Guns N' Roses, 12 years old, my first day of high school orientation. One of the hostel kids was this on the field on an old tape deck, and I was like, what is that? I have to know what that is. Been a fan ever since. Never thought I would ever see the full Guns N' Roses in my lifetime.
I mean, I love Guns N' Roses. It's a go-to band for love ballads, for rock, for party, for just memories. I can't believe they're here. I'm so excited.
Before we go, let's recap your top stories this evening. Is it your constitutional right to smack your child? The highest court grapples with the line between physical discipline and child abuse. And Colin Rex, who abused and molested boys at a Johannesburg school, is sentenced to 23 years in jail. The harsh punishment a victory against child sexual abuse and vindication for the brave boys who spoke out. From me and the team, it's a very good night.